There are new images out of Wuhan that purport to show the dire conditions in hospital. This is unverified video posted on the Chinese social media platform Weibo. It was shot by a woman who claims to be a nurse at Wuhan Red Cross Hospital. The original post has since been taken down. The woman says medical workers and patients were stuck with 3 dead people in a packed hospital corridor and that there was no leader and no one to take care of the bodies. Thomas Yao, a correspondent for the reputable and independent South China Morning Post, says the video appears to be shot in Wuhan, but he can't be sure of all the details or the date it was shot. We're also learning Canada's visa application processing center in Wuhan has been closed on the orders of the Chinese government, again to help minimize the virus's spread. And the U.S. State Department is pulling most of its diplomats and their families out of that city. Meanwhile, the health minister reiterated the fact there are still no confirmed cases in Canada. Patty Haidu spoke on her way into a Liberal Party caucus meeting this morning.
The public health system is monitoring cases of suspected symptoms that might match the profile of a person coming from Wuhan. But as I said just a moment ago, there are no confirmed cases, and we continue to interact with our provincial and territorial partners to make sure that we have current information. So it depends on the situation. Again, if the person has traveled directly from Wuhan, which is really the epicenter of the disease, then they may be monitored for a number of days until it can be confirmed that they don't have the illness. We're meeting each day to get updates from the World Health Organization, from our international partners. So if there's any change over the weekend, we would certainly come back to you with information.
Experts say the risk of an outbreak in this country is low. Health officials confirm at least 20 people have been tested in Ontario and Quebec. British Columbia and Alberta are also doing testing. This morning, medical experts gave a briefing in Toronto. The CBC's Megan Fitzpatrick has the details.
Their main message was one of reassurance and of confidence. They were saying there are no confirmed cases here in Toronto or in Canada for that matter, but they are bracing for cases to arrive here. They're saying they're prepared for it. If and when it happens, they say the public health system here in Toronto, in Ontario, is strong. They talked a lot about the lessons that have been learned since the SARS outbreak back in 2003 and other experiences too, like the H1N1 virus. And they were saying how much better communication is between health agencies within Canada, but also internationally. They were saying how it's been very helpful this time around with this new coronavirus, that China has been forthcoming with information, they said, and just talked about the speed at which this is developed, saying that already there's a test for this new coronavirus, so hospitals and doctors here in Toronto can get a result within 24 hours, and they said that's really very remarkable. They did say if and when a case arrives here, though, that it's not like people here in Toronto will see the city shut down or on lockdown. Here's more of what the public health agency lead for Ontario had to say at the news conference about that. Take a listen.
If people look at the somewhat intimidating and scary images that they see from the particular province in China, they may think that if there was a case in Toronto or Ontario, that somehow we would immediately go into a similar situation. Absolutely not. If a case comes here, and it is probably likely that we will have a case here, folks, it will still be business as normal.
So business as usual, they're saying. They also outlined some of the other things they've been doing to prepare, Andrew, including talking to the airport authority, Pearson International Airport. Hundreds of passengers arriving from China every day, particularly with the Lunar New Year holiday season starting this weekend, but also, of course, travelers from around the world coming through that airport. And they talked about having meetings with officials there, as well as Peel Region health officials where the airport is located, the screening measures that have been put in place, the training that's been put in place for people that work at the airport there too. And bottom line, they said if it does happen here, they pledged to communicate with the public about it, Andrew, saying if the situation changes, the public will know about it right away.
And Megan, what advice did the officials have for members of the public?
Well, they did say they know that the public might be worried, might be concerned. There's a lot of media attention on this right now. So they urged the public to seek out reliable sources of information about this new coronavirus. And they said the Toronto Public Health website is one of those sources, the Public Health Agency of Ontario, Public Health Agency of Canada. And they said, especially if you're traveling in the next few weeks, go on that website, have a look at the travel advisories that might be on there. And then they also noted too that this is flu season. There's a lot of influenza going around. And so their advice was to practice proper hygiene anyway at this time of year. And that includes getting a flu shot. It includes staying home from work if you're feeling ill, washing your hands a lot, using sanitizer, and covering your mouth if you're coughing. So their advice in general, aside from this coronavirus, was to protect yourself from influenza and other viruses that are circulating at this time of year. But again, their main message, Andrew, really was one of reassurance. They wanted to be out here today talking to the public and just letting everyone know that if and when it happens, they'll be ready for it here.
The CBC's Megan Fitzpatrick in Toronto. You can find much more on this story online, answers on key things to watch for and what to do if you think you're infected. There's also a timeline on how this virus emerged and spread. It's all on the front page of our website right now, CBCNews.ca.